Hey guys, how's it going? So welcome to my garage. Yeah, it's becoming winter, so I'll probably do more of the talking videos and stuff just because, well, it's winter, not riding as much, although, still probably have a lot of good rides still able to do. Well, have a ride. Just posted up a video. He wanted some questions answered in a video format, so here we go. I don't typically do something like this, so bear with me here. So I printed out the questions. When did adventure motorcycling initially catch your eye? What was the reason for why it initially did catch your eye? I think we really have to discuss adventure riding. What is adventure riding? To me, adventure riding is any motorcycle. Whether it's my XR650R, whether it's my Gas EC300 on the other side of the room, adventure riding is really whatever you make of it for an adventure. I like going out exploring. I like seeing new places, hard to get to areas. To me, that is an adventure. Getting a flat tire, having a breakdown, can turn into an adventure. It's whatever you make the adventure. So, with that said, I don't know if he's talking bikes that we think of as adventure bikes like GS 1200s, the Honda African Twin, the bigger bikes, the 1190R, for example, from KTM. Even V-Stroms I've seen off-road and into some crazy places. So, what is an adventure bike? Well, to me, it's whatever I'm riding, because I'll make an adventure out of anything. But if we're talking specifically adventure bike, I guess lately they've been catching my eye because I like to do longer point-to-point rides. I like to go further. That means packing luggage. XRs aren't known for strong subframes. I've done the luggage thing. It's just not that fun. Obviously not going to do that on my gas. And, lately I've just been wanting to go longer rides like I used to, because I used to do that on a street bike. So I kind of miss those days of going on really long rides. In an adventure bike, I could do that. I could jump on I-25, go up to Denver, go over a boulder, get on some dirt roads, and take a big ride. It's kind of hard to do that now. I've gone pretty far on the XR. I used to go from Colorado Springs over to Cripple Creek in Victor and down like either Shelf Road or Phantom Canyon Road to Canyon City, and then just take the 115, the main road, right on back up. But I haven't done that in a long time. The bike's not really meant for. I used to do that as a solo rider, because if you broke down, I was on well-traveled dirt roads and other roads, and obviously main roads, and I have AAA, so most likely cell signal. I can call, get a tow, and be back in Colorado Springs in no time, if I broke down. So, now it caught my eye because I want to go further. So I'm looking at adventure bikes, even the KLR 650, that's a traditional adventure bike. And, the price range from KLR 650 to BMW GSA 1200 is huge. How much do I want to spend? So let's see what the next question is. Number 2, why do you ride? What feelings does it bring to you personally? Okay, well that can go whether you ride adventure bikes or not. I ride for the adventure, as I kind of just to explore new areas, just to go release steam. I kind of ended up on my own ride last week and nobody showed up. But that's okay. I had a fun time. I was able to go down trails faster than I normally would with a group, because you probably should be the opposite, but I don't have to worry about people, so I can go faster, I can go slow, I can turn around. I can approach a shooter that's illegally shooting and just ask him, what are you doing? This is a trail, just to let you know. And, you know, I don't have people behind me that I have to drag over with me and do that and feel like I'm making a fool of myself or them, or, you know, just, he's causing a scene. So, I ride just mainly for the fun of it. I mean, that's pretty generic, but really, it is. What feeling does it bring to you personally? Fun. Escape. Can be solitude, depending on the ride. Just, it's peaceful. You know, I can gather my thoughts, think about stuff, think about videos, think about family, think about friends, think about other rides, think about, you know, where I want to go for events coming up or in the future. So, lets me think. What qualifies a ride as an adventure? And this gets back into the, well, really personal. What qualifies as a ride as an adventure? God, I hate questions. It just, whatever you make of it. If you make it an adventure, it's an adventure. If you want to call it an adventure, it's an adventure. You can go around the world, that's somebody's adventure. To another person, that's okay, that's an adventure, but not something I do. You know, maybe just around my local forest, that's the adventure. To me, it's just going to places I haven't been, or even where I've been, and just seeing new things. You know, sometimes if you go slow down the trail, you'll see old trails off and stuff. You'll see maybe a camping trail that goes off and, you know, to the camping spot, but then you go down it and you're like, wow, this is a cool overlook, you know? So you definitely, I think, can always make an adventure out of a ride. What are your thoughts on lightweight adventure motorcycles versus heavier, more traditional adventure bikes? Are these bikes situational? Well, you know what? The thing I hate is that we're going into this whole big bike thing where KTM, you know, what was it, 950, 990, 1190, 1290, what the fuck? Well, just put a gold wing on some adventure rims and frame and let's have an 1800cc adventure bike. It's getting really stupid. Really stupid. So I don't know if that's more aimed towards trying to convert sport bike riders over to adventure bikes, and thus they're going to be riding street more, so they don't want to be missing the power, so they're going to want the power. Not many people are going to be able to handle a 300cc bike, not much less a 1290cc bike off-road. I don't know why they're thinking to keep going bigger. We don't need bigger. We need better. How about that, manufacturers? We need better. So yeah, I'm more for the lightweight. I got buddies that ride KTM 500s with the luggage and racks and stuff. They can go anywhere. They can do the single track. They can. So you might say, well, that's more of a dual sport. Well, it depends what your adventure is. Now that's an adventure bike too. They could go around the world if they wanted to on those. It carries enough luggage. But they can go down the single track, the ATV trails, the Jeep trails, and they can jump on the highway. You know, you might not want to cruise down the highway through states. You could. It's probably going to be pretty miserable, right? Compromised. But, yeah, I mean, lightweight I think is better for me. That might not be better for you, because you might want to jump on the highway more than I want to jump on the highway. So it depends on you. I mean, if you live in Denver and you believe into riding to the trail, then you're probably going to want a bigger bike than I want, traditionally. Although I am looking at bigger bikes. But that's not to ride to the trail. That is to go out in point to point. You know, do huge loops, multi-day loops, week-long loops. So I think that's a difference. Is there a right or wrong answer to whatever you choose to ride? No, I think I just pretty much glossed over that, but no. Whatever you ride, what makes you happy. And coming from Everride, I mean, he mainly has dual sport bikes in the traditional sense. He doesn't really have an adventure bike, so it's kind of funny, you know. But if that's making his adventure, then more power to him. If it's my adventure on this, cool. What are some dangers that can come with adventure riding? Well, a lot of dangers can come with adventure riding or any riding, especially if you're a lone wolf. You know, you get a flat tire, you don't know how to repair a tire, you don't carry a tube, patches, maybe even AAA, so, you know, even if you hike out or whatever, or get the bike to a spot where, you know, you can call and be like, hey, I'm on County Road, blah, 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 I'm on Rampart Range Road, you know, come get me. You know, that would, obviously there's a lot of dangers. I mean, if it's time of the year too. I mean, you know, I'll tell a little story. I once went out and I thought it was going to be a short ride. I was on this bike, the XR 650R, and it was about this time of the year. We had some snow up in the mountains. I went up, the main road up was fine, but I got up there and I was like, oh, I'll take this trail down, and I know it goes down and it comes back out. Well, it's steep going down, and I go down and I continue on and it goes further down. I get down there and I went down, and I went through snow to get down there, and it wasn't much snow, you know, a couple inches maybe. And I get to the kind of the bottom, and so I tried to go up how I was going to get out, and it was solid ice. I could not get out of there, guys. There was no way pushing it. There's nothing I could do. It was solid ice on a hill, just down the trail, and it's kind of like in a valley. So I couldn't go to the one side because that had the little water stream with a bunch of trees. You're not getting through there. The other side is kind of like boulder. Wasn't going to get around right at that spot. I tried going back the way I came. I couldn't get up the snowbank. I tried like 3 times. And I'm a decent rider. And there was no way. I was going to be able to push it. I was going to be able to pull it. I'm by myself. I have no water, no camelback. This was a short ride. No tools. I mean, because I didn't take any of that. I just jumped on the bike and went, you know, jacket and stuff. And I got thirsty. And so I'm down in this. I eventually, and some will frown upon this, but what are you going to do? I had to literally walk this one hillside multiple times and pick angles and actually figure out how I could get up this very steep hill and side hill and just work my way up to the top so I could get around that spot down below. It took a long time. It took a lot of moving sticks, and this is a pretty big bike. And I mean, I got it up, but it took work, and it took a couple hours, and I did a lot of hiking back and forth. And anyone that rides in riding boots and other gear, that gets pretty tiring. And luckily I was able to get out, but that's a danger. I could have been hiking out, and who knows that time of the year if I was going to see another car on the road, I might have had to hike all the way back down to town, or as close as I could, you know, get a cell signal and stuff. And then it's like, can I get my wife to come up with the vehicle and at least get me? I don't care about the bike. I have full coverage. So that's another thing, full coverage. So if I had to leave it and I return like a day, a week, and it's shot up, gone, oh well. I mean, I guess it's an insurance claim. I hate to say that, but I have full coverage. So that's the danger. You might have to abandon your bike. And I've heard of people riding 5 miles of hill and they've had a hike out, and they're by themselves, or they break an engine case and they're by themselves. And I've heard of people doing Lockhart Basin and they have to hike out, and that's a long one. Like I would not want to do that. So I'm a lot more fonder of riding with somebody now than I used to be. So just be careful, guys, because it's dangerous out there. And it's a dangerous activity, even though you're out there on maybe trails just putzing around. Anything can happen. What do you think of the demographic towards adventure riders? Generally, adventure riding is for older people. Is this true or false? I think the traditional sense of the big bikes tends to be older people, but you have to look at it, that the demographic is, you know, they're 50s, they have an extra 25 grand sitting in the bank that they can go buy a GSA 1200, or they had 18 grand to buy that 1190R. They got that money. They probably had multiple bikes. At that point, they probably had multiple bikes anyways. Or, they sold their littler bikes because they got older and they just wanted to do these point-to-points or just go out for a little day ride, and they're not really into the hardcore riding anymore. And, yeah, it is an older crowd generally on the bigger bikes. I mean, I just did a breakfast with the GS riders the other morning, and yeah, I would say I was probably one of the younger guys there, if not the youngest guy there. So being 40, all these guys, they have the white hair, they're wrinkled skin, they're up in their 50s, 60s, and we had a good breakfast, but it is an older crowd on those GS bikes. It's just what it is, just because of the cost of the bike. I mean, it's just like cars too. If you go into the cars, we wouldn't have had a $45,000, $50,000 car back when I was 20, right? But now, as you get older, you have more money to be able to buy that sort of thing. So I'm imagining when I'm 50, 60, yeah, buying a GSA 1200, yeah, it's going to be a lot of money, but it's doable. It's not a big deal. So generally, yeah, I think you are an older rider, and that's where I'm progressing. I already know my path. Adventure bike, I'm 40. I want to start getting into the adventure bike because I want easier riding. I know. Yeah, right, Mark. I'll still push myself. Believe me, I'll push that bike. But I do want to go that route because I get sore just from riding these bikes. Just an outing, my joints hurt. So let's go on to the next question. Number 7, would you ever consider going on a cross-continental adventure tour if funding wasn't an issue? On a tour. The key word there is he used tour. And I know Everride and the whole tour thing. And I'm not opposed to tours. It's just, I'd rather just go with a group of people, not a tour per se. Now, if it's something like going down Bajas, going down maybe South America through Mexico or something, I might enjoy a tour a lot more than by myself for sure. But if I have a group of friends that I trust and know, I would prefer just going with them, and we just make the adventure aspect of it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not a big tour guy. Sorry, Everride. Number 8. What are some of the essential costs that you may incur when looking to get into adventure riding? What are some of the initial costs? Yeah, I think there's a lot of costs people don't even think of. Hey, you buy that new Honda African Twin, do you know how much rear tires cost? You have no idea. You buy a cool bike, and then you're like, oh my God, that rear tire costs $150, $180. What the hell did I just do? And they last just as long as something on my XR650R. They don't last any longer. In fact, they might even last shorter because depending how you are on the gas. So that's one cost people don't think of, and the other is gear. Gear can add up. And then there's the farkles, not sparkles. Yeah, I put sparkles on my leg, no, farkles. Yeah, that stuff adds up. Bikes don't come with like bark busters or highway dirt bike guards, if you want quality stuff, or good skid plates. Usually they come with like plastic or composite or something, or shift levers that don't break from like IMS, or foot pegs that are more comfortable because they're wider from IMS. They have an adventure series too that are like really wide. People just don't think about that stuff. It all adds up. So you buy a $14,000 African Twin, I already know it's going to cost $2,000 to $3,000 just to probably put more stuff on it. That's just the nature of the beast. And just to protect it, so when you drop it, you're not stranded out there in the woods. That goes back to the danger, being prepared. And unfortunately, no bike is ever sold 100% prepared. I would say the KTM 1190Rs they tend to be about 1290 Rs now, because they have the whole cage around. I mean, they come a lot more prepared than the African Twin. You also pay more, but they do come more capable off-road bikes. So, off the showroom floor, it's a lot better. Probably purchase and just less you have to do. What are some of the essential costs you may incur? Well, I think that's, and like I said, gear. Gear is a cost a lot of people don't think about. They buy a bike and they're like, I just need a helmet, and then they're like, oh gosh, jackets cost $500. Gloves cost, $30 to $100, I guess even more. Pants, Klein pants can cost $200 to $220, something like that. They kind of all add up. Boots, my boots, $450. My cheaper ones, the formal ones, are like $200, depending model. I think my brother-in-law paid $179, but I kind of know a guy, so I think normally they're like $240. But yeah, they're a lot less, but still, it's money people don't think about. Helmets can cost a lot, from dirt cheap. And that's why you see a lot of guys will buy the nice bike and then they're like, I'll buy this $120 MSR adventure helmet. And it's like, it's better than nothing, but I try not to skimp on gear because I want to, especially helmets. You want helmets and boots. You want something that fits you really good and doesn't hurt your head or your feet, right? So I think those are costs people don't really think about. And then it goes to cost like in your own state, like Colorado. I bet plating an adventure bike cost a bit of money because we have kind of like a wealth system here based on your price of your vehicle. I mean, you can pay $5,000 for your plates, for your tags, for an F-150. For the year, that's for a year. So like my wife's car, when she got it, goes on price and weight, so that's why I trust her so much. My wife's Volvo, a car, S60, was $800 the first year. I think it's down to like $380. I think that was the last renewal, was $380. But if you keep your vehicle long enough, like my Jeep Grand Cherokee, that's like $74. And I think this is like $60 or something. I don't know, it's not much. The gas was like $300 when I first got it. So it depends on your state. Those are costs people don't think about, just like they don't think about it when they go buy that truck. And they're like, what? $5,000? I wonder how often, that probably happens quite a bit, especially if you're new to the state. Like, what the? It's just a wealth tax, is all it is. In fact, you can pay a lot more than that. You can pay $10,000, $12,000 if it's like a Porsche $140,000 car. It's just crazy. You might say, well, but you have the money. Not really. People finance vehicles. They don't have the money. So yeah, I bet that BMW GSA 1200 costs a lot more than it should be, considering motorcycles aren't ridden as much as vehicles are driven on the road. So that's a cost you should look at, especially if you're pinching pennies there. If there was one key destination or route that you think most adventure riders should ride or go to, what do you think it would be? Well, that goes back to whether it's a traditional adventure bike or if I'm calling what I do as an adventure. I don't really have any destination. If it was local Colorado, I would just say, the traditional adventure ride, something everyone could do, no matter skill level, even if they need help in a certain spot, would be Black Bear Pass. That would probably be a great destination in that whole area. You could do the Alpine Loop, you could do Black Bear Pass, you could do Imogene Pass, depending on skill level and stuff. But we have a lot of good, areas here where the traditional big adventure bikes could go on and they'd be okay. 10. Finally, is the adventure motorcycling progressing and moving forward, or do you think we are staying stagnant or even degressing? I would say so many people are getting into it, it's kind of becoming old now. Like, I know for a lot of us that's kind of like been around the off-road now for a while, it's just like, oh, so-and-so bought an African twin, whoopie-doo, you know? I just don't get it. Oh, and that's not making fun of any certain person. I should stop using the African twin. But, you know, people post up like, hey, I got this, I got this 1190R. It's like, yeah, so what? I don't know. I think just hearing about it so much is just, adventure. This is an adventure. This is an adventure riding jacket. This is an adventure riding motorcycle. This is an adventure riding trail. This is an adventure ride. I do the BDR. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about, I'm going to do the BDR. I'm going to do the TAP. I'm sorry. It's just becoming old for those that have been around the riding. If you're new, then I can understand your enthusiasm. But you'll see what I mean down the road. I think it's kind of also, it's not progressing well, and it's pretty stagnant as far as, look at the bikes coming out. Honda brings out the African Twin, looks like, oh wow, Honda's going to catch up to the adventure crowd, right? And motorcycle and off-roading. And next they say, hey, we're going to bring out, or they did bring out, an adventure moped. What the fuck are you thinking, Honda? Excuse my language, but I think that deserves a what the fuck. What are you thinking on an adventure moped? Who the hell wants that? And then they just said they're going to have a CRF 150. I guess that's aimed to the Asian markets with the smaller bikes, but still, just the thought that you're going to bring out an adventure 150cc when don't they poll people? And I know the answer to that because I kind of had discussions with some people there, and not to name names or this or that, I'm kind of like in dismay because they don't want a new way of thinking. They're like, what's worked has worked, and we don't care. We don't need to get the African Twin out there. The bike's only selling in the Rockies region. You can buy African Twins or on the showroom floor right now back east. And they're like, dealers are trying to get rid of them. Honda's done a horrible job at promoting that bike. There's been really no cool videos with it. Where you had the Triumph Tiger Explorer, they partnered with Icon and they had that whole Raiden series. That created hype, interest. Oh wow, that bike can do that? BMW has going for it is that it's always the world, around the world type bikes. So the GSA 1200s, they don't really have to do much cool advertising because that's well known. That's what that bike does, if you will. And I think it is digressing a little, just from companies like that. It's kind of like, we're going to have an adventure moped. That's like an adventure moped. Who the hell's buying an $8,000 adventure moped? That's going to be ridden actually on dirt. I don't know what these companies are thinking, and I think they really need to start polling riders. They need to look at us and say, what do you guys want? You go on any forum and it's, I want lighter weight, I want a mid-size bike. Honda, why aren't you bring back the tooling for the 650 or bump it up to a 700? But if it's a cost thing, they have all the tooling. Still, companies keep tooling. If you don't understand how manufacturing companies work, they have rooms with warehouses with this is the old tooling. They have old tooling, so they could bring back the XR650R engine and put that in an adventure bike. It has plenty of torque. It has good reliability in better suspension, a real subframe that can hold luggage, a real headlight unit, and because you're bringing back just a current engine that you already own the tooling on, it would be very, very cheap. In a production world, it would be reasonable to do. And with that, you could probably sell a bike for 9-10 grand that's a mid-size adventure bike. But nope. No, they rather concentrate on 150cc bikes and mopeds. Oh, yeah, they're crazy. And then you look at Suzuki, same thing. What the hell are they doing? They're sitting there fingering their bungholes, not knowing what to do. And then you have Kawasaki, who has the KLR 650, and you know what? All they have to do is up the CC size, make it a 700, make it a 750, toss on an adventure badge with better suspension, and people are going to be putting money down to buy that bike. And you would get everyone that has a KLR would probably be like, I think I'll buy a new KLR. KLRs are well known, well liked. They've been around forever. And you could have two models. You could have your base, here's your 650 still, and here's your KLR 750 adventure bike. Boom, right there. Easy. Why they don't do it? I have no idea. I mean, they must be sitting there in Japan just getting like high off their blowfish sushi. It's like common sense. But you have a company like KTM from Austria, and I lived in Austria, who, while I was in high school, KTM who? You know, I never saw a KTM when I lived there, never saw a dealership. I don't even know if they were around. Were they around in 91 to 95? I don't know. They definitely were nothing special. They were nobody. I guess they were probably around, but like I said, they were nobody. I mean, I could tell you right where the Harley dealership was in Vienna. And the moped dealership, the Vespa, KTM, okay, like I said, KTM who? But they've gone so far, and they're making off-road happen. They're doing all the adventure bikes and really dual sport bikes, and their bikes come where you can put a plate on right from the factory and come with the title. Well, where are the Japanese? They used to lead, now they just follow, and they're barely following. Sad, very sad. So that was a long response to number 10, but I think it's pretty much stagnant or digressing, really. I mean, a lot of people just don't want to do the adventure thing because there's too much adventure. I'm just getting sick of it, where I don't really care what others think. I'm just going to go, you know, I'll eventually get the adventure bike and ride. I don't really want to get rid of my two bikes. So that's kind of holding me up. And do I go budget? Do I go more costly? I don't know, because there are concerns like tires. I don't want to pay $150 for a tire. So somewhat I lean towards the KLR 650, just put the big bore kit, the 680 kit in it. I heard it's a whole new bike, and that's like $1,000, and just call it good. You know, you still have to do farkles to that. So even though the bike's cheap, and even on top of that 1,000, what's that, 7,500 then at that point? You know, I'll need another GPS mount because I believe in GPSs. I would probably want better foot pegs. I probably want a better shifter. I definitely would want a heavy duty skid plate. I'll probably might have to do the doohickey mod. I'll probably do the suspension for sure because that thing otherwise pogos. It's not bad stock, but if you hit like kind of whoops, it's like, it bottoms out. Maybe that's just me writing, but it does bottom out. So I'll probably do the progressive springs for it. I'd probably do different rear shocks. So I could still have in it 9 grand, 10 grand, but that's still better than spending 14 plus farkles, or buy a BMW GSA 1200. What are they, like 22, 25? And then still adding stuff to that. I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, so you guys, don't worry about what people call adventure riding. Adventure riding is what you make of it. Now, obviously, Now, yeah, if I'm like saying, I'm gonna go lead a ride and blah, 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 and it's gonna be kinda hard, don't bring your adventure bike. You know, bring a bike that kind of matches what the other person's riding. Unless you know that person and you're like, well, is it gonna be hard for my bike? Or are you gonna help me if it's hard in a few spots? Yeah, so, yeah. That is what it is, and hopefully this long-winded video gave Tyler some information. And hey guys, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Have a good one.